The Pisces life, the Pisces life.
Welcome to the first special report taping of the Current Flow. Special reports and curated content produced by the Pisces Life Podcast and Network. I am one of your co-hosts for tonight, Letitia, and on the other microphone,
Peace, y'all. It's Kai Love.
hello. We have two guests tonight with us. Ms. Latania Franklin, licensed clinical social worker.
I'm here. Hello.
And then we have Michelle, nurse practitioner from Detroit Health Systems out of Detroit, Michigan.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. We are going to just dive right in. We're excited to have each of you with us. We are doing this special coverage of COVID-19. As our listeners know, we record the regular podcast of the Pisces Life on Mondays. It releases every Monday, and we are recording respectively in Chicago and the Detroit area. So we wanted to bring special frontline coverage to our listeners as we all hunker down in the quarantine life and deal with this pandemic and life as we know it as it's unfolding. So we're excited tonight to have our two guests. We have, again, Ms. Franklin Latania, who is from Chicago, working at Sister Afia. Did I get that right?
Sister Afia.
Yes, community mental wellness in Chicago. And I love the part of your mission that says together, Black women across the African diaspora can sustain mental wellness through connecting the resources and supporting one another. Sustaining the mental wellness of Black women through building community, sharing information, and connecting Black women to quality mental wellness services. I love that. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That mission is why I joined Sister Afia.
Oh, wow.
Now, woo, that year went so fast.
Wonderful. And then we have Michelle, who is a nurse practitioner, as we said before, working in two different Detroit health systems. As you know, listeners, Michigan is the third largest affected by this pandemic at this time. So we wanted to welcome her. She's a graduate of Wayne State University in Detroit with her experience as a critical care nurse and also specializing in gastroenterology. Did I get that right?
Gastroenterology.
There we go. Thank you. Get me all the way together.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Well, Michelle, why don't we start with you? First, you've seen the COVID battle up front and in two different hospitals in Detroit. I wanted to talk about what you're experiencing, you and your colleagues, dealing with an already overtaxed healthcare system. But what's that like now that the pandemic is upon all of us?
I have been in healthcare for over 20 years. And I've never seen anything like it.
Wow.
Basically, it's like if everybody could see what is inside of these hospital walls, you would stay at home. It is a war zone. It's almost like a war zone, what I would imagine to be a war zone. I've never seen one. Everybody is in complete PPE, walking around. The hospitals are home away from home, and it looks completely different. Everybody has to walk through one door now in the morning, depending on what time you get there, but you have one main door that you go through. You go through a list of questions where you're getting screened to go in. Your hand sanitizer and a mask, and then you enter, and that's when you can enter the building. One of our healthcare systems has actually an app on your phone that you have to answer the questions before you arrive up to the door. If if it blinks green, you're okay to enter the building. If it blinks red, you cannot enter the building.
Let me ask you this: what type of questions are they asking you? Can you share that?
Oh yeah, basically they're asking about symptoms. So they're asking, have you had a fever, a cough, loss of smell, are some of the questions that are asked. And then if you're green, you can come in. If you're red, thank God I've not been red, then you cannot enter the building. So they are taking huge measures across the board to, protect each other and, really be safe with anybody entering the hospital. Once you're in the hospital, it's a whole new world that I have never seen. Everybody has masks on. So let's say if you see the help desk, they have benches around the help desk to make sure that you have 6 feet of space. everybody has either a N95 mask on or surgical mask, or multiple people have N95 and surgical masks both on walking around.
Wow.
Everybody, everybody's wearing hospital scrubs, because before, we're practitioners, so you usually dress in either, your business casual clothes. Everybody is in street clothes. The nurses are given, many of the nurses, especially ICU and ER nurses, are given scrubs that they change into at the hospital from their street clothes and change out of before they leave. They've opened multiple units that I've never, they've made, like, let's say, I'll give an example of one of our pediatric units. They extended our ICU to one of the medical ICU to the pediatric unit. So now our medical ICU is a 30-bed unit. They've opened up the outpatient things, like, because all of the outpatient elective surgeries and procedures have been canceled because they're only necessary procedures are going on. So things like the cath lab has been turned into now ICU overflow. The PACU, the units that were post-operative units are all now overflow and ICU units as well.
Wow.
So really.
So they're.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so they're really creating space to deal with the most critical care in every way, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And they are floors that everybody's in isolation. So normal floors, all you see is they initially started with dirty units and clean units, where anybody who was COVID positive or rule out COVID that was into a unit, and they called that a dirty, for lack of a better term, dirty unit, meaning that that's the unit that you will be in PPE at all times. The only unit at this point now with everything that our only safe unit is basically the oncology unit. Those are our immunocompromised patients. But other than that, there's no, and then our stroke unit. Other than that, all of them have airborne precautions. All you see is all the doors closed, everybody in isolation, basically. It's very different. Yeah, it's very different.
Thank you for giving us that description. Very rarely are we able to, I've never heard it described like that. I've tried to imagine, what that would be like coming in through work, like you were saying, different hospitals can be very busy. Thanks for that description.
Yeah, another thing I want to add too, that also there's no visitors. So you were going from a busy, hustling, bustling place. We have both of them are teaching institutes. There's no med students, there's no nursing students, it's only essential staff. So you don't see a lot of non-essential people walking around at all anymore. There's no visitors at all. Unless you are in critical care, you can have one visitor. Other than that, nobody can come to the hospital. And so that's a different too. There's only one or two, after 7 a.m., they open up another entrance to come in. So it's an ER and another entrance usually that you can come into. And then there's only one, these doors are the only ways to go out too. So you get one way in, one way out. And it's nothing but essential workers there. And that's a big difference. Like I said, it's like almost like a war zone where it's like all you see is everybody in protective gear and everybody's in isolation and only essential workers. And they've deployed so many people down there, you don't even recognize people. This is a place that I've gone to for 20 years, and I don't recognize the staff on half the units because that's how many people have been deployed to these places to come help.
Wow.
This is such interesting information. And again, as one that's been quarantined for almost 5 weeks because I was already working from home, and most of my clients provide essential services here in Chicago. And so spreading of the virus was a great concern early on, even before our governor here decided to make some decisions. So there were already some contingency plans put in place and some deployment of people working out of their homes instead of in the office to decrease the risk. So what's interesting to me, and moving into a question for you, Latania, this is not on our preparatory list of questions, but it just made me think about how has the therapeutic environment been affected by this virus. So are you still doing therapy in the office, or is your office closed? Was it ruled an essential service?
Wow,
what precautions are you dealing with? Are you now doing things over the internet? And is it now a virtual counseling environment? Share with us what your environmental space has now been since the virus hit.
No, absolutely. So with Sister Afia, is right now for the therapy portion of Sister Afia, it's just me and Kamisha. And we decided to see all of our clients virtually, just to make sure we're keeping ourselves safe as well as our clients. We had groups that were coming up this month. I had my literary healing book club with Sister Afia that had to be postponed, which I ended up deciding to do it and finish it out virtually. So now we're doing it on Zoom. She also has her sister support group, and Kamisha is the founder of Sister Afia, and she has her sister support group that's now totally all the way virtual. And we also have another group that's virtual. So all of our services now is online.
Okay. Has that impacted the service delivery? Are your clients still participating and regularly reporting in a virtual environment? Because again, going to therapy in itself is a big thing, right? Once you seek it out and state that you need some support. So then changing that from seeing a real person to having to talk to someone over a computer, has that affected your service delivery or your clinical milieu?
So for me, I work for Sister Afia in a private practice, but I also work for a university in Chicago. And so I'm splitting my brain to make sure I'm fully answering your question. So for Sister Afia, my clients they're all showing up. Actually, I'll see them because I'm at home and I have a little bit more wiggle room, along with taking care of my own self. I'll see them more if needed. So if they've had losses or they're struggling, because usually I see them, because I work full time at a university, I see them every other week, so bi-weekly, on Saturdays. And so now, if they need extra support, which one or two of them have, I'll see them also during the week.
Okay.
But my clients have been very, very consistent. University, that has been really difficult, just for the students, because the transition was so fast. We start working remote within 48 hours in March. One day we were in the office. One day we were in the office, then it felt like literally 48 hours, everything was remote. Their classes, and it was during finals week, and me trying to see them before they went on, air quotes, spring break.
Wow.
So that transition was hard for the students. My clients, they were from Sister Afia, they were good. Like I said, they were consistent. If they needed more, they reached out, and I let them know, send me an email, because this is a crazy time, so let me know how I can be there to support you.
And the last follow-up question in this space, at least, is can you share with us the demographics of your clients?
For Sister Afia, all of my clients are Black women. My youngest, at Sister Afia, we see predominantly mostly Black women in between the ages of 25 to 35. My clients, we see some adolescents. Right now have a 14-year-old on my caseload. And once this quarantine is over, I'm looking to have more adolescents on my caseload, have a support group for them. But that's the range. And like I said, all of my clients are Black women.
Okay. Did you have to receive any specialty training to do these clinical services virtually?
Yes. So it wasn't, for the state of Illinois, it's not required, but I did just to make sure I knew all of the laws. So we used a system called, to keep our notes and client files and all of that. That's called Simple Practice. On there, they had some CEU trainings around telehealth and the laws then. So there was one paid and one that was free. I took both of them because I just wanted to make sure that that we were all set, and we both did. So it's not required, but more like suggested. And for us, it was just for us to make sure that we were on point and following all laws, as to make sure again that we were safe and also our clients were safe.
Gotcha.
That is good.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
I wanted to move into the space of just being real with what it's like for you all to be providers of medical services, respectively, to people, and also take care of yourself, given your own respective living situations. You know, I know, Michelle, you had mentioned that people were virtually staying at the hospital so that they wouldn't, go back to their families and reinfect them, or infect them rather, and those types of things. How have your own personal routines and habits switched up? How are you incorporating self-care in your own lives? Michelle?
So definitely how things have changed is from normal life to new COVID life is obviously I don't go anywhere without hand sanitizer, face masks, and gloves. And so I think that's across the board. Probably most people are practicing that way as far as my daily routine. Also, as you've heard probably about many healthcare providers, we are getting undressed in our garages, and your clothes of the day don't enter the house at all. And that's one of the things. And I also have environmental clothes that I wear. Like when I have a grocery store outfit. And again, once I go to the grocery store and come back home, and I take those clothes off and wash it. And I also wash my face and hands as well. So those are some of the things that are now new in the routine of things. And then also regarding self-care, I work out every day. Working out every day is like my personal Xanax and Prozac. And I feel like exercise, which I'm sure Ms. Franklin can definitely touch on about how it helps mental health so much. And I'm somebody who definitely is an anxious person, and this has weighed on all of us, and it's a scary time, and it's hard to see what's going on daily. And if you don't have an outlet for that, it can be a lot. It definitely can be heavy.
Wow. Same question for you, Latania, please.
Yeah, so we've been out from Sister Afia and my other job for a little bit over 2 months. So we stopped the beginning of March. And I was fine. So I was going about things as normal. So I would sit in front of, if I was working for the university during the week, I would sit in front of my computer for 8 hours. And then when I see my clients on Saturdays, I would sit in front of my computer for another 8 hours, seeing all 8 of my clients straight. I would say about last week, I had what I call my quarantine breakdown, where it was too much. I didn't want to hear nothing on the news. I didn't want to hear Lori Lightfoot from Chicago. Like, I didn't want any updates. I think I might have even yelled. And my husband looked at me like I had lost it, because it was just too much. And I wasn't working off of a routine. I was just operating like things were normal, but it was not normal because I was not leaving my house. And I am a person that loves to be out and about. And I don't know if I understood that until recently. And so every day I got up, it was like, oh, hell, I'm here again. And so now, starting the past 2 to 3 weeks, for me, I have to have a routine. And so, like, I roughly wake up and go to sleep around the same time. When I wake up, I do my morning routine, especially through Monday through Friday when I have my clients, and then on Saturdays too. So I pray and meditate first thing in the morning. My exercise is a little shaky, but it is definitely beneficial.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
So it's beneficial, and it improves your mood and relieves stress levels. And so besides my praying and meditating, I'm trying to get in a habit of not forcing myself to move every day, but not work out like intensely every day, but I listened to someone yesterday, and they was just saying like how you just move your body. And I was like, cool, I can do that. And so I'm doing this like 30-day yoga challenge where you just do 10 minutes a day. And then I do like this little easy peasy, not so easy doing some things, but like easy peasy ab workout. And then I feel good. I feel like I've taken care of myself first that day. And I'm not sitting in front of my computer for 8 hours straight. So like I'm a little bit more flexible with myself. Like I'm not confined to that. So I have what I'm sitting in now. It's my workspace. So I'll sit in here, like I'll see my clients, write the case notes, and then I might go in my other room or my living room, my bedroom, and watch Insecure, watch up the Wayne Brothers, something that releases me, eat a snack, and then I'll come back to it. And I'm finding that is helping me. And I'm stopping work at 5 o'clock. And also just like listening to my body. If my body say, girl, you need to stop, then this girl is stopping. Because I had to, because I had to realize too, like this isn't just like was already said, like I can't continue to work as if everything is normal, because it's not normal. So I have to create, and when I'm telling my clients to create a new normal for you that's comfortable, and that's guilt free, honestly.
I like that piece of advice: comfortable and guilt free.
Can I also add on that too about you creating structure within the new norm? And that was something that was advice to me by my accountability coach of you, like creating a schedule for yourself and having creating structure within this time and how important it is. And just one of the things that you said, still going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time, regardless of what the next day is, and planning your day out and providing that structure, I think that's a huge help for a lot of people. I know that early on, I struggled with, you kind of feel lost for a minute. You're kind of like, okay, so now what? Okay. You're sitting there like, all right, I already did all that. Or like if I like conquered the world in my house one morning and was like, okay, it's 12:30. All right. It's I got all day now. What am I going to do? And I do think that is excellent advice for anybody, is to create your own new structure within the change. And it makes a huge difference when you do that.
Yes, no, absolutely.
That is good advice. That's a good tip. So, Michelle, I have a question. As someone, and Letitia can acknowledge and support this story, as we both are both germaphobe and allergy sufferers, nasal drainage in the morning time.
All kinds of stuff.
And so since every day I wake up, I'm like, Lord, is the COVID on me? What's happening? So we know that COVID-19 is a different kind of virus, and certainly it's no laughing matter, but we see the comedy in the fact that we are all human and trying to figure it all out. But we know that people can be asymptomatic and still test positive. So what has been your experience with folks and the symptoms that they're presenting? Is it COVID-19? Is it the flu? Is it the allergies? If someone suspects that they have COVID-19, what are the steps? What should they do?
Well, I'll start with if they haven't and what their steps and what we should do, and then I'll give you a couple examples of what my experience has been with asymptomatic people as well as people who thought they had allergies. So if you actually have, and it's tricky because I think that they are advertising like it's very easy to get tested, and it's not that easy to get tested. So, and you have to have a checklist of symptoms. Fever is one of them. Fever that's uncontrolled with fever reduction medications, whether that is Tylenol, typically is what most people use. Cough, body aches, and shortness of breath. You have to have basically all of those to get tested. Another thing is that that's one of the things. They have drive-through places to get tested. They also, even in the ER, if you present with these symptoms in the ER, they don't necessarily test you. You have to have all the symptoms, but the biggest symptom that you must have is shortness of breath most of the time when you're coming to the ER. They will treat you in the ER and not even test you. You can go through the drive-through. The drive-through, a couple of the sites, you have to have a prescription from your PCP. And
please, for our listeners, PCP,
primary care physician, or a physician that writes an order, you have to have a prescription to actually get tested. Is one at the state fairground I know is definitely like that. And also too, they're not all free. Some of it is at a cost. And so there's a lot of deception of, we have even multiple healthcare workers that are out. One of my very good friends was out for 2 weeks sick, all the symptoms, and it was not tested. There's a lot of So it's very, very tricky. And I don't think that overall the numbers reflect the multiple cases that there really are. Also, it's tricky that people have all these symptoms and are getting tested and are negative. There's a lot of false negatives. That's the other thing, is that people that are in the hospital, they have all the symptoms and they have negative COVID tests. Well, they're still in isolation because they've had so many false negatives. You have people that are testing negative, say they went through a drive-through one, and then their symptoms worsen, and then they went through the drive-through one and it was negative. Their symptoms worsen, and they now have presenting to the hospital and need to be hospitalized, and they get tested again and it's positive. So it's a very, very tricky, and that's all I can really can say from my clinical experience. I don't know the statistics regarding specificity of the test or anything like that to validate that. I can just tell you clinically what is being seen. So back to one of the people in our office, thought she just had, it's this time of season where we have allergies. And she is saying, she has allergies and asthma. She's like, I just have allergies, my asthma acting up. And next thing you know, it got a little bit worse. And she initially talked with her primary care physician. He gave her an antibiotic regimen. Things just kind of lingered for a while. Things got worse. Next thing you know, her and her husband and her mother and her father all have COVID. And here she is around everybody just saying, oh, these are my allergies. And, I'm like, I don't know if those are allergies or not. I don't know what it is. You need to put a mask on. I have no idea.
That's real. The inner dialogue be going off, okay? Yes, that's real.
Oh, no, that was outer dialogue. I was like, I got side-eyed, and she was steady explaining to me how her cough and her all this other stuff going on, and she had all these symptoms, but until she got a fever and shortness of breath, did she get actually tested.
Wow. So are you saying that, because everything that I've heard at least has been that it leads with the fever, that if you have a fever, then that means that you should go get a test. You're saying that there may be other symptoms that are happening that are milder and you don't get the fever until later?
Absolutely. Or you don't get some people have COVID and never got a fever. And just because you have a fever doesn't mean that you'll get tested. You can have a fever and body aches, but if you're not short of breath, they won't necessarily test you. It is very, but you're in quarantine, you're sent home from your job. It's very selective because they also can't test. We don't have enough tests to test everybody. So they're preserving a lot of the tests for the sickest of the sick to confirm. And then also we have people who, for an example, I'll use as there was an outbreak at one of the nursing homes. The residents were dying and there was a huge outbreak of COVID. And so all of the staff there got tested. This woman had not one symptom and she's tested positive for COVID.
Wow.
Not one symptom. She was walking. She's like, I feel just fine. She felt completely fine. Everything was good. They tested her and she was positive for COVID and no symptoms. Still does not have symptoms to this day. And this was probably about 6 days ago. So, and that's the whole thing about the stay-at-home order. And this is an example of somebody who has the virus and can be easily passing it around to other people, and she has no symptoms. And supposedly, as what we know about the virus thus far, is about 25% of people are asymptomatic. So the symptoms of COVID is from nothing to death. Like that's the range of where we're at this point.
Wow. Whew, that's sobering in ways that that's another thing too, you guys, to be honest with you. Every now and then it just runs in on me exactly the scale of what we're facing. We will have another special edition of the Current Flow coming up where we will talk with a COVID survivor. And he will talk about his timeline and just going back in hindsight. He was sicker and presenting milder symptoms that he didn't know until he was slammed and literally almost on life support. So go ahead. You had something else to finish up with that?
No, basically that was that's part of where I think the resistance comes for people to be quarantined is because they're not they don't understand that aspect of somebody could be a carrier. And I think that's where a lot of the resistance comes. If everybody could just step one foot in the hospital and see what's going on there, they would have a whole different tune about what's going on, and a huge understanding, or even and be open to seeing the numbers, or hearing more stories about the asymptomatic people that are carriers and passing it to people. And I think that that might open up, people's eyes a little bit more to why this is so important to do social distancing and quarantine and the shutdown of stuff, because that's what is flattening us finally.
Well, not to be a wet blanket here, by the time you all hear this recording, we will be on national news in Michigan, because they staged a wonderful protest called Operation Gridlock. Operation Shut Michigan Down. And that they did by protesting by the thousands, by car, on foot, and even on horseback. Yes, on an actual live horse. It also snowed this very day of the protest. Didn't stop them. They locked up traffic in every direction. Very few masks were worn during these protests, where they were waving flags, not only the U.S. flags, but other flags. So I'm fully anticipating that there is very likely to be a wider spread, an uptick in exposure. We've heard also about people having quarantine parties in Chicago and different areas, even going to New Orleans. I know somebody who left Michigan going to New Orleans for a quarantine party, and thankfully their plans changed at the last minute. They ended up not going, and subsequently later found out that 3 people at that very same party they were supposed to be at died from COVID. So this is no joke out here. It really isn't any joke out here. I do have a question for you, Latania. I wanted to shift into the mental health realm. This is the first time that people are new to having emotions of crises like depression and particularly anxiety. I've been transparent in recent episodes with our listening audience that I've been suffering from both depression and anxiety due to some trauma that I've been dealing with. And so something like a pandemic on top of all of this, and they messing with my queens. I can't sleep. Sometimes I can't eat. Other days my snacking is just, like, okay, you done been at the buffet in your own kitchen all day. Sister, bring it back. So some people are trying to acknowledge these types of emotions and manage these things, and are having mental health crises for the first time. What would you recommend for them to do? What are the steps that they need to take to recognize, hey, I may need to seek help outside of myself and my support system. I may need someone professionally. And then what steps should they take to get mental health services?
I am biased, of course, because I am a therapist, but I think everybody just on a regular day would just I shouldn't say normal, but like regular life experiences and transitions should seek a therapist just to have a listening ear. It doesn't mean you need to be diagnosed, just to have someone to talk to. But especially even now, because I believe that with everything that's going on in our world, with the fear and the stress and the uncertainty and the financial loss and just like everything else on top of it, I think we're going to no doubt experience thoughts and emotions that may center around depression and anxiety that we've never felt before. And when those things come up, I would say, so 2 things, because it's a little off of your question, but
no problem. That's fine. Go ahead.
Like when these thoughts and emotions come up, especially if you have never, if you've never had anxiety or thoughts about suicide or depression or things like that, I think just a reminder that those thoughts and emotions are valid and they are a product of what you are experiencing right now in the world. Like when our bodies are under extreme stress, overwhelm, like change, Like our bodies create thoughts, our brains create thoughts that, because it's trying to come up with a reason for all of this stuff that's happening, right? So one, know that those things are a product of just the experiences and the overwhelm and stress that your body is going through. And two, and again, like, those things are valid. So if you're starting to, like you said, like, notice you're starting to eat a little bit more, eat a little bit less, if your sleep is thrown off, if you're seeing a change in your mood or the things that you're interested in, I would say, like, those are reasons to seek out a therapist or counseling. And even if you're not seeing those things, I would still recommend, just because of everything that's going on, like, you may just need to talk about it. And at this point, if it's not a therapist, like, create that support circle if you're able to, virtually. So Zoom, like FaceTime, Facebook, all this stuff. This is judgment-free space, right? And so, like, even if that support circle is like Kevin Hart, Gabrielle Union, where you're just looking at their live on Instagram, like, whatever can uplift you during this time, like, do that. And to seek, for your question for seeking counseling, I have 3 go-tos. Okay. First and foremost is Therapy for Black Girls. Like, that, the list that they have is amazing. So I'll go in there and type in, like, you can type in your area, and it brings a list of therapists in your area. You type in a state, zip code, I believe. So Therapy for Black Girls, all of their therapists are Black, hence the name. My second one is Psychology Today, but for Psychology Today, same thing, but you get a mix of therapists and different clinicians on there. You can do the same exact thing, like type in your where you're from, neighborhood zip, city zip, and find therapists in your area. My last and third go-to is called openpathcollective.org, and this website helps you find affordable therapists in your area. And I think, if I remember correctly from the website, the therapist prices range from like $30 to $60, and they're both online and in person. Nice. So those are usually my 3 go-to with finding a therapist. And honestly, when you are looking for a therapist for the first time, or this is your second time, whatever, it's like dating. Like, that's a good thing. That's how I describe it. Like, it's like dating. You want to find a perfect match. So you want to, if you want to look at, like, their specializations, like if you know you're dealing with depression or anxiety, or maybe some trauma's coming up for you from, this time. Look at their specializations, their training, especially calls, whether they're online or still in person, because some therapists are still seeing clients one-on-one. The biggest thing, though, for me, that I know was helpful for me and some of the clients that I also have, is that check to see if the therapist you're looking at has a 15-minute consult. And that way you can actually talk to the therapist and get a feel for them and ask them questions. If the therapist you're looking at offer that, please do that. And just see how your body feels. Like, our bodies will tell us real quick if something or someone is for us or if they're not for us.
All right. I really appreciate those resources, too. We will make sure that our listeners will make sure that we post that within our comment section or within our companion piece with this, so that you'll have those 3 key resources. Those were excellent resources.
Yes. Now, what I need a resource for is how I'm going to get this tacky yacky weave out my head. I need... Where is the infograph or the YouTube video specifically for how you take down tacky yacky weave? Because it's causing me a lot of anxiety and great sadness right now.
If we can just be real for a moment, we want to lighten up the topic, but it's real. I just realized that we are really managing at home so much. Ladies, any way that you are maintaining your tresses, keeping your edges and all of this?
Man, for me, this is Latania. I am sitting speaking with you right now with a full afro.
Come, Angela Davis, come through.
Yes, I've been taking pictures with my fist up Because like in this time, I've really just been trying out different stuff. I've always said that I'm not a nail person, I'm not a makeup person, I'm not a hair person. I don't do these things. I go get them done. That's a lie, and COVID showed me that was a lie. So I've been doing my own hair. It didn't go so great last night. That's why I have an afro, and I set it on my glory on my sessions today. Without a scarf, I was so proud. I soaked off my own acrylic powder nails. So my nails are all natural. I do, however, figure out I know, I was so proud, guys. I may just stay this way. Because my poor nails are so weak and brittle because I have not seen them in 10 years. I was going to put but this is a podcast, so a lot of people don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Wow.
I think for me, I'm just getting comfortable in all my naturalness, and this natural hair journey is what it is. It's a journey, and so I think it's again just helping me sit in my blackness and be happy with it.
Wow, my gray hair makes me sad though. I forgot how gray my hair really was because I've been wearing braids for so long, and I always buy, a nice shade of purple sometimes, a nice shade of blue, or, sometimes if I'm feeling real sassy, I might get that hot red. I never know. And so now that I've been left alone with my own hair, I'm like, why is my hair so silver? Wow, do I have any black strands left? I mean, it's been a real convenient lie. I like how you said, Latania, just getting real comfortable with the real natural you, the real natural you. On Twitter, somebody said, last summer was the hot girl summer. They said this summer going to be the summer of personalities. I said, I hate the internet. I hate it. I hate it. Oh, my goodness. So, Michelle, what about you? How are you keeping your tresses together? I mean, you're working long hours all the time. And so I'm sure, and I'm sorry, I really wanted the beauty shops next time. They need to be essential for at least 48 hours so we can get an appointment. Don't shut that down without warning.
I don't think they should have shut down Home Depot's paint section without warning. They should have gave us more time for that, so I could have got paint, and so I could have done a project and got my project situation together.
Okay.
It's been trying as it is. Like, me and my natural hair have had a run for its money for many years. I'm not really that good at it. I've always been a tomboy, and like it's kind of easier just to throw my stuff up in a ponytail or like a bun or something. And I also, self-confession, Letitia, you already know this, I am a product whore. So I like all the products that comes out for the hair. I buy it, I try it. So right now I'm actually going through I'm putting in the products that I hate in my hair. So I can get rid of them.
God.
So that the products I love, I'll be able to use when we're out of quarantine. Interesting. So I'm like, I'm too cheap that I'm not going to get rid of them. So I'm like, well, I'm going to use this. I don't really like them. They don't do for my hair what I want it to do. But I'm also not going to throw them away because we're broke right now. This is not the time to be wasting anything. So I'm like, all I do is go to work and come home. So I'm like, I'm just going to use the products that I hate right now, and it's fine. So that's definitely, and I tried the other day, like you guys were saying, different hairstyles. My braiding skills are not that great. So I definitely was practicing braiding the other day. It was not cute. It was so bad. But I tried, and I did the whole head, and it was interesting. So, and you got to have arm strength for that. My arms are falling asleep. They were tired. It was hurting. I had to take a break. I had to re-wet my hair again. I was like, this is perverse. I do not like
Listen, when we do get out of quarantine, I have got to up my tip for my hair braider. You are right about that arm strength. I got one section of my head braided and twisted up in a two-strand twist. I wasn't even trying to French braid and connect and plait. I did a two-strand. Baby, that one section, I had to take a nap. I'm down. I got to, I'm asleep. I
had to shake my arms out. I had to put on a song to bring some inner focus in so I could try to forget about what I was doing for a second. And, you know what? And then that was it. And then I was like, you know what? I got to come back to you. Let me get this water bottle together so I can re-wet the hair because I need a break. This is a lot of work. The other thing, I don't put any heat and like no heat on my hair at all because I'm totally not putting heat on my hair during the quarantine at all. And then the other thing I'm doing now is because I feel like, you know, I just turned 40, and like as women turn 40, sometimes they start freaking out about stuff. I do, at least. And so I've been doing multiple facials too. I want to come out of the quarantine looking like I've been drinking from the fountain of youth. And making sure that my skin routine has been all the way together. Like I don't want to. And that's how I want to look. I don't want to come out looking stressed out because it's a very stressful time. But I'm trying my best to just do those little things and really just trying to work with the hair. I mean, the hair is a problem. I've never liked doing my hair. I've always hated doing my hair. And I'm just trying to find different ways to, as you guys are saying, like sit in my natural stuff and figure out how to do more things with it. I think when we're always in the busy hustle bustle of life, we go to our go-to hairstyles, and like I'm trying different things that are hit or misses, you know?
And that's the real. There are days when I look at myself and I say, no one will see you today. Nobody.
Nobody.
Very good. You're on quarantine. Very good.
I've been watching the YouTube tutorials. I already knew how to tie most of the scarves, especially being part of the national community. So I had the scarf practice down, but I've, you know, felt like I needed to go across the shore. So I'm tying now scarves from different regions and different ethnicities. And so I had to deliver some essential items to my first mom the other day. And she walked right past me because she said she said she was like, I thought you was a Muslim woman. I didn't know that was you. Like, walked right past me. I said, well, who else would be sitting in the lobby of your building with a crate of toilet paper and paper towels? She was like a Muslim woman who needed essential supplies. So apparently my YouTube tutorials has been going excellent because my own mother couldn't recognize me. That scarf life is a real thing. The other thing that I'm doing is, and this is a little, it's intentional, but it's also educational, I think, is that since we have to do all these Zoom meetings and all of these other platforms virtually, I have been doing my best to show up on camera looking as African as I can. So every day,
I love it.
Dashiki, some type of ethnic rap. It's like they're getting all of this African American / Dominican Caribbean. They're getting it all of it.
Nice.
I'm like,
I love it.
Opportunities. I'm like, if you coming into my house, I don't have to look like I normally look when I have to go to your house, your office. So,
that's awesome.
So I know they'll be glad when the quarantine is over so I can put some regular clothes on, child.
Oh, that is hilarious. You know, since we're confessing, I stay in my pajamas a lot. I'm in my pajamas right now. This very second. So this has been a wonderful, wonderful special edition of The Current Flow, where we are doing special reports and curated content as part of the Pisces Life podcast and network. You guys are our very first guests for this. We really wanted to do something that was for us, by us, and about us, and how I've been calling it the sisterhood of survivance. We are going to get through this. And when we come out on the other end, I may be a few pounds slightly up. I hope not too many, but again, we're going to be different, but better people, hopefully, out of all of this once we get past this. And I believe that we will. I thank you, Latania and Michelle. We thank you so much for sharing freely. We got some laughs, and we also got some really good information out there for our listeners so that we can stay home and stay safe so we really can get back to our regular lives.
Absolutely. Latanya, if our listeners want to contact you or have questions for you, where can they find you at?
Yes, so if they want to contact me, they can send me an email. I answer emails like text messages. And it's my first name, which is LATANIA at sisterafia.com. And then to look up and to view some of Sister Afia's events, you can go to sisterafia.com/services. And know that we provide group therapy, individual therapy, workshops, and wellness events.
Nice, thank you.
That's awesome.
And then Michelle?
I'm definitely going to be looking up her information. That's awesome.
And then Michelle, for you, are you on social media that you like to share? Or I imagine with your timing right now, you're probably not on social media that much.
Nope, I'm not on any social media platform.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we thank you for taking this time to come into the 21st century on this podcast.
Absolutely.
No, we thank you so much for being here.
I feel like I definitely need to be on more. Like, I can't even work Twitter, okay? Like, I have no idea how to work Twitter. I feel like that's where all the good stuff is at. I rely on Letitia to help keep me up to date on what's being said.
We do have our daily digest every so often. Yes, we do. We try and keep up. Oh, yeah. Wow. So we're going to sign out of here. I am just Letitia. Some days I forget my name. The quarantine is running in on me, folks, okay? One of the co-hosts of the Pisces Life podcast, and this has been a special edition for us. And on the other microphone closing out, if you're looking for me, you can find me everywhere in Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I am on lockdown, but I'm still accepting friend requests. You know, we got to keep things, the trolls, okay? Keep it together. At I am just Letitia, Letitia. And sis, where can they find you?
If you're looking for me, you can find me on Facebook at Kai Loves You, also on Twitter, the same. If you're looking for me on the Instagram, you can find me at Kai Loves You too, the number. If you want to send some information or have questions or even send us a nice little note to the Pisces Life, you can do that at thepisceslife@gmail.com. If you want to tweet to us on the Twitter, we are at Pisces Podcast, one word. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your support, and we hope that this information that we shared today has been helpful. If you're listening and you found it helpful, share it. That is the only way that we're going to become an informed community, is by sharing honest, truthful, and authentic information. And we're relying on you listeners to help us to do that. So thank you. Y'all be safe. Peace.
Peace.